Hi, I'm Dave Robinson, Chief Data Scientist at DataCamp, and welcome to another screencast where I'm going to be examining a dataset I've never seen before using the R programming language. So this is our first dataset of 2019, and it looks like it's going to be about tweets, particularly from two hashtags, rstats and hashtag Tidy Tuesday. So Tidy Tuesday, as most of you know if you've seen these previous screencasts, is the project that I'm actually basing all of these screencasts on. So I'm going to be looking at the tweets about all these data sets that have come out throughout 2018 and how other people have been analyzing them. So that's really exciting. Kind of a meta looking at a Tidy Tuesday, looking at Tidy Tuesday data. All right, so there's going to be a ton of columns. All right, and it's going to be, let's see. All right, so it's going to be these RDS files. I'm going to start with just Tidy Tuesday. It looks like it might be interesting to do Tidy Tuesday, the general rstats one too, but I'm going to start just by examining this. This is a .rds file, which means I'm going to read it in by copying the link address, and I think this will work. Here I am in my RMD, and I think, let's see, if I do tidyverse read RDS, I should be able to give it, nope, doesn't like that. Okay, what I'm going to do is do a download.file of this. Let me see if that works. Oh, Tidy Tuesday tweets.rds. So this is a built-in function for downloading a file. Here we have it now. And then try read RDS on that file. Oh, I just remembered. I think I can do, let me see. That was it. It couldn't recognize it as a URL because it didn't end in .html or whatever, but putting it as URL, here it is, Tidy Tuesday tweets read RDS. I'd forgotten about that trick of using read_RDS from the readr package. Okay, I can. That's great because I don't like to keep random data files around. I like to make the analyses reproducible. Okay. All right, so here's Tidy Tuesday tweets, and what we're seeing is 1,500 tweets. All right, I'm guessing they occur. Let's see when they happen. So I'm going to say date equals as date of created at. This is the number per day. All right, I expected a bit more than this. All right, and it looks like they're spiking on one particular day of the week. Anyone guess what day of the week Tidy Tuesday tweets are showing up? I've got a suspicion. Instead of date, though, I'm going to try doing it by month for a moment. So I'm going to actually say, I'm going to use the lubricate package and say date is floor date created at month. And now I can say time number of Tidy Tuesday tweets. I'm also going to theme set theme light. And I usually want a graph like this to start at the y-axis to start at 0. All right, it looks like the most tweets were when Tidy Tuesday started in April. But they also peaked a bit in October. All right. October was actually when I started doing these screencasts. I'm sure we'll see my tweets as part of this data set. Okay, that's a start. And we take a look as well at screen name. We could say count who had the most tweets. I'm going to guess it's R4DS community, this the Twitter account that mostly talks about this, as well as Thomas Mock. He's the brilliant RStudio employee who manages the Tidy Tuesday releases. And here we have R4DS community and a number of others. All right, so this I would generally take top 12 and look at screen name, and I just like creating some intro plots that show what we're dealing with. I'd coord flip it. We've seen me make plots like this a lot in the screencast, where I'd say it really needs to be some kind of some shortcuts for this, because I notice I'm always doing the same thing. So making graphs like this. All right. All right, and so that's a bit of a story of Tidy Tuesday tweets. Right, good. We don't include retweets as individual tweets here. Sometimes our what you download from the API does, but it probably would only if you did it by screen name. So here we have it. All right. Oops. All right. So these are some of the most active tweeters. Tidy Tuesday. All right. Which ones get the most retweets? So this I admit I'm self-promoting here because I suspect I'm gonna have some popular tweets. These screencasts, I've usually tweeted them. I wonder what the most. So I'm not pretending that I'm not interested to see how high my own tweets rank. If I say, let's see, is that retweet? Wow, there's lots of things involving retweets. When I want to find, all right, so if I collect contains retweet, I just want retweet count. Retweet count, okay. Arrange descending retweet count, and I can pipe this to view. All right, and some of the top ones include the We Are Our Ladies. That's one that is a rotating set of curators that are publishing tweets. The top one was in celebration of Tidy Tuesday. I want to share a dplyr. I can't trick every hour. Oh, that's a great idea. I don't know that I saw that tweet, but it's an awesome idea. And if I just select the ones, select screen name, text, is it, or is it tweet text, and retweet count? Maybe, yeah. Then we could find some things like, all right, now we have it for each of these. All right, so I actually, good on me, I make 4 of the top 10 of the, for each of the, some of these previous Tidy Tuesday screencasts in terms of number of retweets. So, always nice to see that. I can also try, this is again more self-promotion, so forgive me for that. But I have a competitive spirit, and I'm interested if I search for a screen name. I already said number of tweets is, and this is equivalent to the earlier count I did, found the most common tweets. But I can also aggregate a bit more. I can say number of retweets is the sum of your retweet count. Now I wonder if I do who has gotten the most retweets. I bet it's still Thomas. Cool, but I'm in second place on that one. But it's not necessarily all about number of. It's often more like a combination. You might want average number of retweets, etc. But all right, so these are some of the people with the most retweets. I won't make a graph because again, I'm just arranging it so that I'm coming out on top here. But we can look at other things. Sometimes something I always get interested in about tweets is favorites versus retweets. I just sometimes notice that there's certain kinds of tweets that are very popular in terms of favoriting, but less so in terms of retweeting. So if we say this is just the kind of thing that I find myself curious about. Favorite count. They're called likes, but Twitter's API still calls them favorites. So if I say favorites over retweets, if I do that, I actually need to probably at least add 1 to each, probably add more than 1 to get rid of the problem of there's zeros. Descending ratio. So there's, oh, brilliant. This is actually, I didn't expect this, but this tweet, I know which tweet this is. If I throw in the ID, I'm actually able to browse to it. What is it called? Something ID. Status ID. Grumble. Oh, it's not showing me the whole one. Can I see the whole one? Yes, here it is. I know which tweet this is, so this is actually the reason that I'm making this series of screencasts, which is why, for me, it's a blast that I get to see this. If I take one of my own tweets, and I replace this with the status. Here, or any tweet, yeah. what I end up seeing is this is what I actually originally was considering doing a screencast on an example data set. And Hadley Wickham actually suggested that I use Tidy Tuesday, which I love because it gave me this weekly cadence of new data sets that I can analyze. So that's fun to see that this is a tweet that got a lot of favorites. And it actually turns out the second one was one from someone who was saying something really nice to me in an earlier tweet. I wonder what's got the lowest ratios, which got the most retweets relative to favorites. We're going to see things that have relatively few retweets. A way to prevent that is add a large number to the numerator. I think it needs to be larger than that. This is not a very helpful analysis. If you add a large number to the numerator and the denominator, it helps. This is effectively setting a strong prior. Oh, I know why that won't work. It's a prior towards 50-50. This is going to be tough. It's not. So the highest retweet to favor ratio is not necessarily as interesting. But in any case, let's look at a little bit at favorites and retweets. Okay, that's exploring these hashtags a little bit, but we haven't actually explored the tweets themselves, and I think that's where we're going to get a little bit more exciting. So to do that, I've got so many columns here. I'm going to take screen name, the text, the retweet count, and the favorite count, and probably the created at, doesn't hurt. Can I think of any other columns that I'm interested in? Not right now. Okay. So what I'm going to do is bring in the tidy text package from that Julia Silga maintains that the two of us had created. And and I'm going to use unnest tokens on our text column to divide it down into words. Now, one of the challenges of tweets is that the way they're broken up is actually not a great the way that it's not quite the same as natural language. You often want to include the ats and the hashtags. So if I'm right, there's actually a method in unnest tokens for you can say token equals tweets, which is a tokenization that preserves username and hashtags. So you can say token equals tweets. Look at that. Now it keeps it as these hashtags. So getting back into the keywords game would be an example of a tweet that's been divided down into words. So now I can, for example, I can save this as tweet words, and I can find the most common words. I can say tweet words, count words, sort equals true. There's going to be some stop words like the and. Of course, every tweet has hashtag Tidy Tuesday. That's why it's in the data set. So I'm going to say anti-joined on our stop words. I'm going to do that up here. So this is a data set of stop words that comes with tidy text. I'm going to say never include stop words. And let's filter word is not equal to Tidy Tuesday. That's not an interesting, really, since every tweet is going to have that at least once. Okay, so it looks like some of the things we see include week, of course, this week on Tidy Tuesday. Data makes sense with we're all looking at data sets here. Other hashtags like rstats, r4ds, dataviz, tidyverse, and people mentioning the official r4ds community Twitter account that runs this. Okay, so this is the kind of graph I'd usually want to show. Until we have like I said before, I really want some kind of shortcut for this pattern, but until I have it, I'm going to copy an earlier case where I visualized a bar plot and say most common words in Tidy Tuesday tweets. And Y will be frequency of words. Okay. Something else I get interested in with I could have broken this down just into hashtags. Could have broken it down just into people mentioned, but yeah, generally this is this works for me. I wonder if there's is misspelling or a quick spelling of I am, or if it means something else here. Okay. So something else I'm interested in is I already counted words. I can also group by word, summarize. This is the same thing as the count, but now, just like I have done before, I can add other things such as average retweets is mean of retweet count. Average favorites, similar. Now we can say what words were highly retweeted. A mean may not be appropriate. We could be using a median, or actually I've got a thought here. Okay, before we decide what number to use to aggregate it, we should really look at the distribution. And I'll need to look at it on the original Tidy Tuesday tweets. Generally, with something like retweets, you see a highly skewed distribution, a peak near zero, and then a very long tail. Also, sometimes what we might refer to, since it's a count, as a Poisson log normal distribution. So I'll talk about that in a second. Yeah, we see as most tweets get relatively few, with using this hashtag, get relatively few retweets, and you have a set that get a lot. If I put this on a log scale, and some will get 0, so I'm going to add 1. We see most tweets get 1, 2, 3, 4, and then declining from there. I mentioned the Poisson log normal. Poisson log normal generally means that that it's a count. That first there's some distribution, probably here on a log distribution, but then there's random count noise around that. It's not going to be relevant for our interpretation. It's just something to look into, and the reason that this data doesn't look normal is it has lots of 0s, 1s, 2s, 3s. All right, and because it's constrained to be an integer. All right, but given that, we're probably still going to want to use, I'm going to go ahead and show something. After group by summarize, you often want to filter. We need to say only words that appear in, say, at least 20, I could probably make it at least 30 retweets, because we don't want to have ones that only occur in a few tweets. Then the averages don't mean a lot. So we've got average. Okay, that's reasonable. But we do see here that could be skewed by a few heavily retweeted posts. In contrast, we could say median. The problem with median, as we're going to see, is that median can only be 1, 2. Interesting to me that median favorites is so much higher. Oh, I guess maybe that makes sense. Generally, tweets get more favored than retweeted. But let's actually take a quick look at that, because I hadn't looked at it in this histogram. Now you can actually see the Poisson log normal a bit more meaningfully. This, you see a spike here, and then you see it all kind of gets chaotic around 1, 2, 3, because again you again posts can get have to get an integer number of favorites. It could be Poisson log normal. It could be bimodal, where you actually have some tweets that only get 0 to 3 and other tweets that get many. It's a little hard to say. Still, all of this suggests what I really want is geometric mean. Almost any time you have this large skew, but also integers, median has the problem of it's either 3 or it's 2, and you can't tell the difference between those two, or there's so many 3s, so many 2s, whereas geometric mean preserves a bit more of the larger numbers actually do affect this summary, just not as dramatically as they would with a simple mean. So what is a geometric mean? Geometric mean is where we take the exponent of the mean of the log of your number. So exp mean log is geometric mean. Maybe there's a built-in way to do it. I'm not sure. I'm doing plus 1. And the problem is, as soon as you do a log, you need plus 1 and minus 1. I think I've done this before in a screencast, though I don't remember which. Yeah. Okay. So the what that does is now we actually have a sense that, these two might have both rounded to some of the same numbers, but like these two would have rounded this to similar numbers, but we can see which posts tend to get the most which words tend to get the most retweets. So now we can say if we're doing some strategy, and we often are, we're publishing a tweet about tidyverse, how can we how can we see how many retweets it gets? What we do is take our word summary, group, actually I could do it right here, arrange descending average retweets. Here we go. Okay, I have to take a look at this for a second. So what we see here is that I bet welcomes is one from the official account. This is how do you call it, a confounding factor. Is that I'm guessing, I'm not 100% sure here, but if I say filter word equals welcomes, yep, then it's usually either Thomas or mostly Thomas announcing the actual original R4DS posts. So the new data set releases. So those tend to get an unusual number of retweets. Nice. So then I'm guessing it's probably similar for words like exploring. Yeah, it's often Thomas Mock, sometimes R4DS community. So these are, I think, lots of things that are more official posts. I wonder what this link is. I don't, maybe it's one that always occurs. That's going to be actually, yeah, now I realize it's going to be hard to find. If I say word is this, yes, that's one that maybe always, I bet. So I don't know exactly. Oh, actually, we can find out now that I think of it. What I could say is add to the tweet words, because it's nice to check back on the original data every once in a while, so we're not getting too caught up in the data, so we understand what it actually means. I can pick a status ID and say this is probably some kind of media that. Oops. Well, here it is. Here's tweet. I don't know. Let's see. Yeah, I don't know why it's always the same. Oh, You know what I bet it's this picture. I'm not sure. Or it could be this link to the tidy readme. No, it's probably this link to the tidy readme that gets transformed. There it is. You can see that this is the link. So this link pops up a lot in the official posts. Okay, so if we're going to look for words that get retweets, which now that we filter this out may not be worth doing, we probably want to first filter for before we do our summary to exclude the two accounts that are running this program. Filter out screen. Not screen name in Thomas Mock or what is it, R4DS community. This Twitter. And now I can take a look at word summary. It's going to be a little bit different. Okay. I don't know what the pipe character represents here. A lot of that, it looks like income is popular. There was a whole data set around income. Here's and yeah, I'm not sure what to do with data. If there's a trend here. All right. Yeah, I don't know if there's a trend here. But it does give me an idea of the next analysis. Actually, I do see one trend, which is ones that use other hashtags. It looks like it helps, especially ones like R4DS, DataViz. That could easily be it helps other people find those tweets and retweet them. It could be confounded with more sophisticated tweeters with lots of followers tend to use hashtags. That might be a worthwhile analysis. Does number of hashtags affect the popularity? But I'll move on from this, and because this actually gives me an idea. There was at least one project about income. It was college major and income, and one thing I'm thinking about is we saw before the number per week spikes every Tuesday. Now we can't say precisely, at least not automatically, for every week, what was the post about. We can't say which week's data set was this post about, but we can say, let me show that graph by month again. Okay. Now, data sets are released on a Monday, and we can't say what week was each post released in, and start saying, here we go. Oops. If I say group it by week, okay. Now I need to remember what weekday does, let's see, mutate wday date label equals true. What we can say is, it starts them on Sundays, but I can actually fix that. I can say week start, 7 is Sunday, that's odd. I can start every week on a Monday. Datasets are released on Mondays, so this should mean that if a tweet happens between Monday and the following Sunday, we say, okay, it's probably this week's project. Now, it is entirely possible that someone could release a Monday data analysis of the previous week, but this is one way to start by dividing it down a little bit. And just to check, if I say mutate wday of created at label equals true, I can say, I always forget, I said created at, I meant date. I always need to double check my math. Yeah, every week now starts on a Monday. Okay, so I've just floored every week to the nearest Monday. I can say mutate week equals this. Okay, I might no, I'm going to start with, in what weeks do we see lots of retweets? One thing I see here for one is it does look like there's kind of a summer decline and then a resurgence in the fall. All right, so if we take, but that's just in terms of number of tweets. Let's say, the spikiness is so interesting to me, because datasets do get generally released on Monday. I'm just wondering if if it's somehow out of sync. Probably not. Okay, but all right. If I'm going to start by making this earlier graph where I analyzed it by month, do it by week with week start equals 1 each week. This makes sense because it's the natural structure. I'm going to also, is this the most recent week? No, I think this actually, that's something you always have to watch out for, is the last week only a partial week. It might have been, probably not actually, now that I'm looking at it. It depends what data set this was collected on. But it could have just been, well, the week of Christmas, though I don't think there was a new Tidy Tuesday. Okay, so this was the week that the cetacean data set was released on the 18th. Okay, but a lot of things declined in late December. We have one other dip here, and that could have been another week that was skipped. I wasn't paying as much attention to Tidy Tuesday back then. Okay, but this is number of tweets each week. But it now makes me think group by, and I probably want to summarize n is n and say average retweets, and then have my aggregation here, my geometric mean of the retweets by week. See, has Tidy Tuesday been getting more popular? I could do average retweets. I could do total retweets. There's solid arguments for both. I'm going to start with geometric mean of average retweets. So this will be week summary. I probably want to call this week. Here we go. And now I can say I've got, week by n. And then I've also got average retweets. Average geometric mean retweets each week. I need to change this to average retweets. All right, so it's been pretty consistent. One thing that makes this actually good news, not good news, but makes the data set easier to analyze. It means the the total retweet curve, if we plotted it, would be somewhat similar to this shape. We don't necessarily need to worry, oh, there are more tweets, but they get fewer retweets, or vice versa. All right, so that's something worth noting. The other neat thing we can do, how many weeks have there been? I wonder, 38? It's a lot. Well, I'm going to start with this in this question. Is what topic is each week about? So what I can actually, one thing we might be interested in is every week is going to have this topic that's presented in the screencast, in the data set. And the question is going to be, everyone analyze this data and share it. And if I want to say, how did people talk about, what was the topic each week, just from the tweets, how could I find that out? Well, let's see. We've got our week here. Floor date. I'm actually going to put this in a cleaning step. I'm going to say, add the week back here. I'm also going to do as date. I don't like it being a date time because it's really a midnight. And I've just added a column. And I'm going to keep that column when I create the tweet words data set. Notice I'm jumping around here, and the reason I'm jumping around is I like to have each data set prepared with the particular data that's relevant for it. So I have created in tweet words now, but I also have the week. All right, why have I been doing this? Because if we treat each week as a document, then we can create a TFIDF matrix. We can say for every week what terms happen disproportionately in this week. So the way we do that is take tweet words and bind TFIDF. That's a tidy text method where it goes term is word, the document is week. Oops, I actually need to first count word and week. And then I'd say bind it, and the number is n. Now I have a TFIDF. That is the term frequency of each word within the week. And then it's inverse document frequency, how specific that word is to the to this particular week. I still want to remove ones that are really rare overall. Maybe? Yeah, maybe not. I'm going to try without removing ones that are really rare. And what I can start, and let's see how it looks. What I can say is descending TFIDF. Which words are most specific to particular weeks? All right. So what we see is, for example, the term P-hackathon. I'm guessing that never occurred except in this 1 week where that was the topic. I wasn't working on I wasn't looking at the data sets yet, but I think I knew that was about getting a particular, trying to hack p-values intentionally. And words this week was something about voter turnout, which was used quite frequently and quite specifically. There were other weeks where this one surely had something to do with airports. This one surely had something to do with births. So now we're actually seeing every week has words that go with it. So even if I hadn't been looking at that data set, we get a sense of what the particular what the weekly topics are. And it's not too helpful. I mean, we could have just gone and looked at the list of topics, but I think it's kind of fun. What I can do then is say, group by week, top N1 TFIDF, arrange week. If I see lots of ones with n equals 1, I'm going to be skeptical. Okay, this I think is going to be reasonable. The way it went was there was a data set on tuition, salaries, death, occupations. I can't speak to these because I don't remember them because I wasn't analyzing the data at the time. I never like it when numbers show up in data sets. I'm not sure what these weeks were about. This was a beer week. But I started doing screencasts with college majors. And then we have ones such as movies. I remember the malaria and the wind. I don't remember what this would have been the third data set I analyzed. Okay, yes, I think it was R packages and R packages and R language downloads. I don't know this could easily be a Spanish or Italian term. Let me see. Let's stop word meaning of. Let's see. If I actually say filter word equals DE, and I'm going to do something quickly. What I'm going to do is say, take your tweet words, group by status, filter day in word. I want to get all the tweets that include this word. Yes, they're almost entirely, I'm pretty sure almost entirely Spanish. Maybe Portuguese. I'm not too familiar. Okay, so we probably actually wanted to filter these out because it is the word of, it's a stop word. This is one of the many problems of using a built-in stop word data set is TidyText just has an English data set, but this is not, but there are plenty of Tidy users from other countries. So let's see. I'm going to go ahead and filter it out. So I'm going to say not word in, I'll start just with DE. This must have been a week where it was unusual, where a large number of people from Spanish or Portuguese language communities, I think Portuguese is uses DE. Yeah. Here it is. Now it becomes downloads. Okay, so that makes some sense to me. Now we're getting these topics. We see some numbers. I don't remember what the data set was between Bridges and NYC. Let's take a quick look at Tidy Tuesday. Oh, media, right. It was medium titles and tags. And the pipe also worries me a little bit. I'm going to use that same approach. We're going to look for what is this pipe operator. I think it's used sometimes to separate. It's a bit of syntax. It's used to particular tweets to say separate multiple hashtags. I'm going to filter it out. I don't think it's meaningful in the same way that, say, topic words are meaningful. We got to be careful when we say, oh, I'm going to filter this, I'm going to filter that, I'm going to filter this, all these things. It's definitely, you got to be cautious. But yeah, I feel like I'm going to remove the number. Again, I'm not crazy about the numbers. Certainly, they aren't very informative. I've done this in other analysis. What I do when I get our words is filter for string detect. The word must have at least one alphabetic character in it, or we don't count it. Actually, I'm pretty into this now. It's like we had to have one word about every single week. Here's after we did a little bit of cleaning. Here's what word we get for each. You know why this could be handy is if we did a graph of like which projects I'll tell you what I'm thinking about. I'm wondering whether I should build a classifier, whether I should build something that for a particular tweet predicts what project it was about, because that way we wouldn't have to rely on the time of the tweet. Having said that, that's not it's a 42-way classification. We don't have perfect data anyway. It probably would fix a couple tweets where we thought it was 1 week, but it was another, but I think it would be limited benefit. I'm not going to do that right now. Okay. Instead, what I'm considering is that if we wanted, we could have taken this data and just said, if I want to make a graph, like what was the popularity of each week, I could have used these words as signifiers. I could have put these words in that bar plot. So I could have said each week how many retweets occurred. And I actually have a week summary up here. I'm going to rerun this. Oop. I have a week summary. I could have said, here's our top word. I could have inner joined this with top word and by, oops, just week. Yeah, my ends don't look great anymore. Week summary is going to be tweets. I'm fixing this up where I need to say, oops. I'm fixing this up where I need to say, here's the number of tweets each week. And now I do a join by week, all right? And I can say, what were our most popular weeks in terms of average number of retweets? And it looks like it was on nuts. There was a tie between cats and dogs for the specificity. It was the most popular week was about cats and dogs. I know how we can fix this a little bit. Top N, I'm not crazy about this behavior, to be honest, but top N includes if there's a tie, it'll include both. There's a way to get around that, or I should say a different approach that avoids that problem. I've just arranged by descending TFIDF, I can say distinct week, keep all equals true, and now there'll only be one for every week. It'll randomly have selected it. So there was one about cats. We know it was also about dogs. There was one about species. I think this is a life expectancy one, a tuition one. These are our most retweeted on average. And it just is kind of nice to not just say, oh, this week was the most popular, but actually say, oh, these were the most popular topics in one word. And some of the ones that got less retweets included ones about the P-Hackathon. I think this was a Star Wars one. And one was, seems like on honey. What was the difference, I wonder, between half a retweet on average to, it does look like, and this is a geometric mean, so it's not, and it's also confounded with time, which is not our favorite way to look at this. But yeah, this is kind of this is one way we can use the top word. Here's another way. I've got our week graph up here. What if I grabbed this? I'm going to copy it, bring it to, oh my god, I haven't, oh goodness, I'm 3/4 of the way through and I haven't saved the file once. What would Jenny Bryan say? I'm going to save as Tidy Tuesday Tweets. Okay, wow. Here's something neat. If I'm just looking at this graph, I don't know what the topics are. I might say, ooh, there was a resurgence around, what was this topic? I don't know. Here's what I can add. I can get a little creative with what we put in here. I can add a text layer, say label equals word, and data equals top word. That top word has a shoot. I can't. I need to change. I need to do one thing. No, not quite. I need to do the join just like I did here. What I would do is say, here's our join, and now add our words. Here it is. What I get now is I don't just say, oh, it peaked here on these two. I'd say it peaked on ones about death and occupation. I probably want to, in this geom text, say repel equals, oh. Well, I can start by saying check overlap equals true, v just 1 and h just 1. I remember that repel is done a little bit differently. The v just makes it to the lower, nudges a bit to the lower left. Adjustment, I think a little bit easier to read. And this actually is probably the way to do it, but I could also do GG repel, where I'd say, I want to label every point here, but I want each of them to, I don't want any of them to overlap, so I want them to be able to stretch away. Ah, this is pretty good. this is our average number of, this is our number of tweets and topics. I kind of like this graph, yeah. Tweets and topics. From tweets about each week's Tidy Tuesday. So it looks like the one that got the fewest tweets was the P Hackathon. Let's see, and the spike back up in early October started with one on turnout. Yeah. And the turnout? Yeah, I think, yes. Looks like this one was on majors. And then it kind of kept up. And as you imagine in late December, you get fewer tweets. And we'll see how it continues in the new year. Okay. So this is I'm going to graph this. There's no color in this graph. There doesn't need to be, which means I'm actually going to just add a little bit of color, not for any particular reason, but looks a little bit better. I kind of like that. I kind of like that color. Just makes it a tiny bit more interesting. And I'd probably add a subtitle saying, "Word shown is each week's most specific word based on TFIDF. Shown is the word most specific to each week." So that's actually, when I was saying here's the word most specific to each week, I was originally thinking, like, oh, we probably should just scrape this table to get that data. And if you want, we can. In fact, yeah, why not? I can actually say, here's how I'd scrape data and get these names out. But the names actually are too large to appear here. So I'm going to try a quick alternative. Let's see, how would I get this table? Oof, not as easy as I thought it'd be. Here's what I do. I use the inspector gadget. That's this plugin that I have to find the name I'd use to specify this table. It's not just a table, it's a bit more. It's 2018 data. And I'd use library rvest read HTML. I'll get back to that in a second because I'm going to do HTML node this. What I do is say read HTML of this page. Here it is. And we have a table in there. So the I think I can either do, nope, I have to do HTML node, right, I grab the table out, I parse the entry content, from that I parse the table, and, well, I thought it was going to give me a tibble diff, but it gave me a data frame. All right, here it is, and then I get week, date, data, source, article. So I actually get, if I wanted to bring in the full names, I could have done that. So this was a really, really easy, an unusually easy, I'd say week equals date, as date of date, and title equals data. Why is it not saying date? This looks like date. Object date not found. Select date. Okay. Oh, not select, pardon me. Transmute, because I'm changing it. I could have said week titles. And I could have thrown that into the summary instead. So, here we go. Right now, I use the top words. But I could have said instead, all right, inner joined by our week titles, and it just hit me. These days are Tuesday, while our data set is Monday. Watch all this not work. If I say join by week, a few of them it gives the Monday, other ones it gives the Tuesday. Well, we need to do fuzzy joining. Or I could try saying take every week, floor date, week, week start equals 1, assuming that it'll be the following Tuesday. There it is. I think we have all of them now. I needed to round them to the nearest week, and now I could have used the title of each. Is this a better graph? I don't think so. I think this is too crowded. Even we made it a lot larger. Having said that, I have an alternative. I could have used geom text, check overlap equals true. It's not necessarily important we see every single week. I could have used this approach, where we would say show the titles at every point. Either of these are fairly informative graphs. This is a little bit cleaner in that it doesn't show every single word, but if you were and that it doesn't show every single word, but it's meaningful titles as opposed to just the word honey. But yeah, this is pretty. This is a solid combination. Okay, and we got to use a little bit of scraping using the excellent rvest package. Okay. I have a few more minutes, and one thing I wanted to do was look at our rstats hashtag. I'm excited about that. I actually want to try looking at the other data set out of Inspector Gadget and say Selector Gadget, and let's grab the rstats tweets. That's a much bigger file. Makes sense. I'm going to copy the link address. Okay. I'm not going to spend nearly as much time since really I was interested in the R4DS particularly, but go. I'm even going to throw in the week just in case I'm interested, because I've got an idea about weeks. rstats tweets. This is going to take a minute. It's a larger file to download. I'm going to basically copy some of the code. For example, honestly, sometimes with this stuff, I really do just copy big blocks of code. It's a shame because it's already highly redundant code. There's another reason I'm wondering if I should make some more things of this into a function. But mostly I'm just saying how many rstats tweets per week. Oh, wow, it's all-time rstats. That's brilliant. I'm guessing I'm pretty sure this is all-time rstats. Huge increase in our tweets. How about average retweets over time? Also has generally been increasing. And we actually see this was a great year for rstats tweets. This could have been one extremely viral tweet. It's hard to say. In maybe an otherwise slow week. So that would mean I'd probably want to make it month rather than week. All right, but what am I what I'm interested in is I could apply the same TFIDF approach to weeks. What was like trending each week within our stats. I could do month too, but I'm going to I'll leave in the number of tweets per week. Just such a neat plot to have. I'm going to call it our stats week summary so that next time I run this it'll be a little more reproducible. And then I'm actually going to try the same. I take it back. I was going to try TFIDF, but I'm really interested in that average retweet analysis when applied to the rstats hashtag that has a lot more data. And there's going to be huge confounding. I'll need to look just at 2018. Okay. And I'm definitely not going to filter out the word Tidy Tuesday. So rstats words, most of the same. I am not going to filter out Tidy Tuesday. Here's my rstats words, and where was my words summary? I'd say rstats words summary, rstats words, do not do a filter. What words tended to get retweets? Well, still the Tidy Tuesday announcement one. Actually, wow, great on Tidy Tuesday. They have some of the words representing that Oops. Nope. I was not... I was using the wrong data set. I was using the original. No wonder it led to the same answer. Okay. Tokenizing, there are a lot more tweets here. I actually didn't look at how many tweets there were, but it looks like it's getting several thousand a week, so plenty of tweets. And once I tokenize them, I can say what words tend to get retweets and favorites. I probably want to filter just for the ones that were created after 2018-0101. I probably just want to look at our, looking just at 2018. I'm noticing that the number of tweets generally leveled off in 2018. And actually, let me recreate that graph that says average retweets. Average retweets. Again, geometric mean. This makes me nervous. The fact that it's increasing, it means that any words that tended to appear in the last year, there's a confounding factor. Words that appear in the last year will get more retweets than words that have often appeared. It's not meaningless, but it's we're going to want to look just at 2018 tweets for a summary of words if we're interested in number of retweets. It kind of levels off over 2018, though we do see spikes later in the year. I probably should have done this by month looking at it, but we did it by week. Interesting to me this is as slow as it is. I wonder. Well, it's a large number of oops, I reran. Nope. Oh no, my bad. I look at our stats word summary. All right. Hashtag violence way at the top. I don't know. I don't really have a good sense of almost any of these, except this makes me immediately think, oh no, you know what these are the signs of? These, almost all of these, are the signs of purchased followers. So it really, really, really would surprise me if there were a bunch of tweets of what we call organic rstats tweets that happen to mention hashtag CEO, or for that matter, Yugoslavia, and that got loads of retweets individually. So I'm going to quickly confirm that. That is confirm my concern by looking at a few of these. These look like someone who set up a program to post tweets with lots of hashtags. One of which was rstats. It could be multiple people. Could be one account. And also used a couple of these tweets and then had purchased accounts, fake accounts, that is, retweeting them. So we don't have any time for a sophisticated approach to removing tweets, but I can say our stats tweet filter word equals CTO. Oops. Filter tweet word. Our stats words. Screen name. Yeah, the fact that it's almost entirely this one screen name, I bet some of the others are as well. Like if I said word in CTO, CXO, still most of the same ones. Yugoslavia, that looks like it's a different one. And if I try looking, basically I start spot checking accounts would be the way that I'd go about this. I don't want to speak ill of anyone, but usually when I see top contributor, I get a little bit suspicious. No, this could easily be organic. I should absolutely not have spoken so soon. I should absolutely not have assumed that it's fake. This should just be dropped. Okay, so I'm going to remove Spioneer. 394 followers. So how can I tell this is fake? The reason I can tell it's fake is there's 394 followers, but everything it tweets gets a bunch of retweets. Not to mention the large sets of hashtags. These are all signs of purchased followers. All right. So so I'm actually going to, when I do the filter, straight up blacklist, screen name, not screen name, I'm doing an in case I need to add ones later. What Yugoslavia shows, though, is that this is confounded with this effect of highly retweeted tweets. It's confounded with highly retweeted people. If there's a term that someone uses and they have a lot of and they themselves tend to get lots of retweets, this kind of difference can show up. So I think that's interesting. I have more tweets now. I can be a bit more selective with that final filter. So what words tend to get retweets? Before I wrap up, I realize now I should have put this is a large data set I'm summarizing with a somewhat complicated operation. So I'm going to run this once and then do the filtering separately. That way I can keep changing thresholds if I want. I also am going to filter out not string detect word. I want to say it's not a link. All right. So what we see there are a number of here we go. There are a number of hashtags. I'm guessing some of these I'm sure are real. Are by people that are sharing things alongside hashtags. That happen to be popular topics. Looks like lots of them are kind of grab bags. No. The fact that we see, all right, I'm seeing a lot of things that are about 4,000 tweets. Yeah. Here we have another set of bad actors. There's a lot of hashtags that are used a little over 4,000 times and get a lot of retweets. That 4,000 makes me immediately suspicious. If I try looking for, let's start with serverless. It's the kind of thing you don't see in general in the rstats hashtag. Word equals serverless. I'm going to look at rstats words. Count. Screen name. Yes, so it's mostly one person. The biggest challenge with all of this is that one person can drive, whether they're using it, can drive so much of it. We may need to come up with a metric that isn't so sensitive to that kind of issue. If I use serverless, that's one. What if I looked at cloud computing? It's an almost identical set of people. And that makes me, and we see our old friend, this account there. I'm guessing that Golang is going to be similar. It could be a network of promoters, of marketing accounts. And I wonder if I look at one of them. Yeah, I do not like posts with loads of hashtags. That should, I think, be clear. Then by saying that, I actually realize why the proper approach to the problem. We should probably remove posts that have too many hashtags. All right, so I'm going to start with this. Before I even do the tokenization, what I'm going to say is, that'll do better than trying to squeeze all of them in, because it makes sense that if you have loads of hashtags, then the fact that one of them is rstats doesn't really mean anything. We should really be removed. It's not specific to the rstats community. So I'm going to take a look at our rstats tweets. Oh no, yeah. And I'm going to say count how many hashtags does all of them have. And to check that, I'm going to do string count text. Where the pattern is, I think I can just put a hashtag. Maybe I need an escape. Yeah. How many number signs does it use? I could probably have been more technical and said number sign. I could probably have said followed by, I think it has to be followed by alphabetical. I'll start with that. Oh, but it could also be capital A to Z. Yeah, because you all need at least one. It needs to have rstats. Okay, so many posts have, say, just rstats. Other ones have 2. And then we have this entire long tail that is absolute garbage. Pardon me, I just really am not a fan of the approach of put more than a dozen hashtags in one tweet. In fact, we see a little bit of bimodality, where these are your junk, where these are your posts with too many hashtags. I'm going to arbitrarily say let's set the boundary at 8. We probably could set it at 5 pretty healthily, but I'm sure some people that are making entirely well-meaning organic posts that happen to have 5 or 6 tweets. So I want to err on the side of including people. So I'm going to say add our hashtags up here. And heck, I'll keep it here. That way I can filter later. Ones with, I'll say at most 6 hashtags. That really gets at a lot of the problem, I think. Again, with just 6 hashtags, what does it really mean that you have our stats in there? And I'm going to try removing our screen name. But I am going to say hashtags less than. Oh, I just saw I could have done this without string count. I could have done this at the word level. I could have. Well, I'll do it at this level. The tweet, I meant, yeah. I did at most 5. All right, that's my threshold now, at most 5. We can see the big peak is you have. I really should fix the borders here, but it really looks like it's mostly 1, then 2, then 3. Some people with 4 or 5. But then you have your long skew out there. Now, yeah, very different distribution. I feel a lot better about this graph. What this is showing, this table, is showing what's popular. Code throughs, announcements of in case you missed it. I think a lot of these are Mara Averick from our studio. She does a lot of fantastic summaries of the current state of the field and saying in case you missed it, here's a blog post or here's a package. There's announcements are popular. Anything about packages is popular. Going a little bit over time, but I just love this. I love the rstats hashtag, so I can't resist looking at a tiny bit deeper. If I look at this summary, and I'm going to, how many words appear in this summary? Oh, I meant after these 2 filters. 1,400. Okay, I'm gonna try saying, look at the number on the x-axis and the average retweets on the y-axis. Scale, we need both of those to be on a log axis. This is sometimes called Blount-Altman plot, after one in chemistry. With a total is on the x-axis and your variable of interest is on the y. And we say, what are our outliers especially on the y-axis? Especially for ones that have lots of mentions. Could try setting this to 50. I'm not seeing outliers up here that are both common and high number of average retweets. So maybe I just say, let me see. Okay, and I'm noticing once I do this bar plot, it's mostly going to get ones down here anyway. These might be what I should really do is say, this is me trying to decide if I want to do a bar plot or not. And I'd say label equals word. On a graph like this, you always need check overlap equals true. You know, if I filter it just down to hashtags, it might be a bit more meaningful. What we see is things like feet, code through, maps. Is that, not sure, GS maybe? And these are some things that get lots of, that generally get lots of retweets. I would generally filter for more than 100. Once I do that, is it even interesting? The data science is a bit more than average. It's very hard to say. But yeah, generally I want to say, so maybe, all right, I think I'm going to stick with a bar plot on a particular hard threshold. Say, of words that appeared at least 100 times in 2018, which got the most retweets. And I'd say range descending, average retweets, head 16, I'll do a point graph at here, and we'll say average retweets word, and throw in our bar, and throw in our word is reorder average retweets by all the way around. This is more informative. Yeah, which words get the most retweets in rstats? I forgot a pipe somewhere is what that error means. Oh, or I switched out a plus for a pipe. Oops, gotta flip these two. Chord flip. Nope. I'll figure it out eventually. Oh, oops. I was right. I don't know why. Oops. Here it is. Okay. That took a couple tries. But geometric and I'd say was geometric mean of number of retweets. And I'd throw in a subtitle of only words appearing in at least 100 tweets in 2018. So it does look like code through, in case you miss a map, announce. This is packages. Okay, yeah, this is packages. It just doesn't show up in the graph. The unconference run by ROpenSci was popular. Yeah, a lot of this is really pretty. This is cool. All right. I guess once, but RCP, I'm not sure. Yeah, I'm not sure what all of these mean, but these are some of the popular things. These are definitely confounded with who posted these. I think for a lot of the RStudio crowd uses packages. Certainly, I think Mara does, and that brings us to our final analysis that I'm a little bit interested in, which is who are the most active tweeters, and I'll do just in 2018. And say, let's see, create for the same reason as above, because otherwise you have confounding factors of time, and say group by screen name, summarize who are the most active tweeters and who are most retweeted. So arrange descending tweets. So the, and then I can say, oops, I need to have hashtags, a hashtags filter. I really don't want to include automated ones. So what I can do is say, who are some of those active tweeters and who has the most average retweets? Again, geometric mean. Again, I'm interested. I'm not gonna lie. I'm curious where I pop up on this graph. I probably need to filter for more than some number of tweets. More than 30. I don't know. Probably lower numbers would probably be fine. It doesn't surprise me at all. We have Hadley at the top. Hadley Wickham at the top, getting loads of retweets. RStudio and Garrett, Kirk Bourne is an influential data scientist. I think he's at Booz Allen. And Mara. Mara is particularly notable on this list. If you don't follow her right away. Really fantastic tweets, and she's a developer advocate advocate at our studio, and yeah, some of these are automated ones. I'm glad I get the top 10, but Mara's particularly important because she has far more tweets than anyone, and they're still highly successful and influential, which is really really excellent. All right, so this is the final thing we can look at in terms of some people that have the most influence. Oh, there's my sister Emily. I expected to see Julia here. Yeah, here's Julia. In terms of people that get retweets, but it definitely Hadley, Mara, all these people deserve important places within the 2018 rstats Twitter community. So that concludes this screencast where we took a look at both our Tidy Tuesday and rstats tweets, and it and in terms of both we divided it down to words. We looked at common words. We did some topic detection with TFIDF, and we looked a little bit at what words tend to get retweets, which might help with if you're interested in tweeting about our stats yourself. Finally, I'd note that if you're not already on Twitter, I really recommend it. It's a fantastic way to join the data science community, and it's certainly keep a close eye on the rstats tag and some hashtag and some people on this list, and yeah, please be sure to follow me at twitter.com/drob. All right, thank you for joining me, and I'll see you next week.